The night was silent on the barren plains of Carthos 9, save for the faint hum of wind skimming across jagged stones. A sky of 2 moons shed pale light over the battlefield that stretched far beyond the horizon. Burned-out wreckage of starfighters lay scattered, their twisted metal frames still glowing faintly from plasma fire. And in the shadows of one such ruined craft, a young alien woman stirred, her breaths ragged, her body trembling from pain. Her name was Sirana Velker, once a proud warrior of the Dralith Dominion. Known for her fiery temper, she had defied her commanding officers too many times, questioning their brutal orders, pushing back against their endless cycle of conquest. Among her people, rebellion was considered weakness, punishable often by death. Yet they hadn't executed her. Instead, in the chaos of the last skirmish with the humans, they had left her behind. Her wounds were deep, a plasma burn across her side, broken ribs from the crash. Abandoned, bleeding, and alone, Sirana pressed her clawed fingers against the dirt, trying to push herself upright, but collapsed again. For the first time in her life, she felt what it meant to be truly unwanted. A human. Miles away, Ethan Cale, a human reconnaissance scout, moved carefully across the ruined field. His orders were clear: scan for surviving enemy soldiers, confirm kills, and report back. But Ethan had seen enough of war to know how ugly those orders often became. At 30, he carried the weariness of someone much older. Once a farmer on Earth, he had been drafted when the Dralith expanded their war into human territory. He never sought heroics. He only wanted to survive long enough to see his little sister again, back in the green valleys of Montana. His visor pinged faintly, life signs ahead. Weak but still present, Ethan froze, scanning the wreckage. Carefully he crept closer, his rifle raised. He expected another ambush, perhaps a wounded Dralith ready to strike. Instead, when his flashlight beam fell upon the figure, he hesitated. The alien girl lay crumpled, her scales dull from blood loss, her chest rising shallowly. She looked so much younger than the warriors he usually fought, barely into adulthood by human standards. And unlike the fierce, towering Dralith soldiers he had encountered before, this one's eyes flickered open not with hatred, but with confusion and pain. Ethan's training screamed at him. Finish her. She's the enemy. But something deep inside him, the farmer who had once nursed dying calves back to health, whispered louder, she's just a girl. And she's been abandoned. Lowering his rifle, Ethan muttered, damn it, what am I doing? He knelt beside her. The rescue. Sirana hissed weakly as the human approached, her voice raspy. Why would you come closer? Finish it. Her golden eyes glared, but the fire in them was dim. Ethan shook his head. I'm not here to kill you. She tried to laugh but coughed instead, a spray of blood staining her lips. Then you are a fool. Ignoring her protest, Ethan dug into his pack, pulling out a field medkit. He wasn't sure how well human medicine would work on her physiology, but it was all he had. With practiced hands, he cleaned the burn wound, applying coagulant foam. She groaned and twisted, but he pressed gently on her shoulder to keep her still. Hold on, he said softly. I know it hurts, but if I don't stop the bleeding, you'll be dead in minutes. She turned her head, watching him, her expression torn between disbelief and suspicion. No human had ever touched her without violence. When he began to wrap her ribs, Sirana finally whispered, Why help me? Ethan didn't look at her as he tightened the bandage. Because no one deserves to be left to die like this. Not even an enemy. An uneasy trust. The hours passed slowly. Ethan built a makeshift shelter among the wreckage, dragging scraps of hull to shield them from the cold wind. Cyrana drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes muttering in her own tongue, sometimes watching him silently. At one point she rasped, "You are strange, human. My kind, they would never do this. Mercy is weakness." "Then maybe your kind is wrong," Ethan replied, his voice quiet but firm. Her golden eyes narrowed. "You speak as though you know better." "I don't," he admitted. "But I've buried too many friends because mercy wasn't shown. If I can break that cycle, even once, maybe it means something." Cyrana didn't answer. But for the first time, she didn't look at him with hatred. Memories of rebellion. As the days stretched on, Cyrana grew stronger under Ethan's care. He shared his rations with her, carefully adjusting portions when he realized human food sat oddly with her stomach. She, in turn, taught him small phrases in her language, correcting his clumsy pronunciation with faint smirks. One night, beneath the glow of Carthos 9's twin moons, she finally shared the truth. "I was never loyal to them," she confessed, her voice low. "The Dominion thrives on conquest, but I questioned it. I saw the way they slaughtered civilians, the way they broke entire worlds. When I spoke out, they called me a traitor. Still, I fought alongside them, hoping maybe I could change something from within." Her gaze darkened. "But they saw no value in rebels. So when the battle turned, they left me here, cast away like waste." Ethan listened quietly. "So you're not the enemy you were told to be." She gave a bitter smile. "Perhaps. But to your people I will always be Dralith. Always the monster." He shook his head. "Not to me. To me you're Cyrana." Her eyes widened slightly at the way he said her name, without fear, without hatred. Only recognition. The hunters. But their fragile peace could not last. On the fourth night, distant engines echoed across the plain. Ethan's visor confirmed it. A Dralith recovery squad was sweeping the battlefield. Not for survivors. No, Cyrana explained with clenched fists. They were here to eliminate witnesses, to ensure no deserter lived to tell their story. "They will kill us both if they find us," she warned. Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle. "Then we don't let them." Despite her wounds, Cyrana insisted on fighting alongside him. She retrieved a cracked plasma blade from the wreckage, the faint hum of its core still active. Side by side, human and Dralith crouched in the shadows as the enemy patrol drew closer. What followed was brutal and swift. Ethan's rifle fire tore through the first two soldiers, but more emerged, their armor gleaming. Cyrana moved like a shadow, her blade carving arcs of light despite her injuries. Yet there were too many. A blast struck Ethan, knocking him back. His armor absorbed most of it, but the pain was sharp. As a Dralith warrior raised his weapon for the killing blow, Cyrana lunged, taking the strike across her already wounded side but driving her blade through the enemy's chest. Bloodied and gasping, she collapsed against Ethan as the last of the squad fell. He caught her, holding her trembling form. "You saved me," he whispered. Her lips curled into the faintest of smiles. "Perhaps. I am learning mercy from you." Escape with the hunters defeated, they knew more would come. They had little choice but to flee across the barren plains toward the human outpost. The journey was grueling. Cyrana's strength faltered often, and Ethan carried her when she stumbled, refusing to leave her behind. During those endless miles, they spoke more openly. Ethan told her about Earth, the rivers, the forests, the taste of fresh bread from his farm. Cyrana listened with quiet wonder, admitting that her people's worlds had long forgotten such simple joys. "You humans, you fight, yes. But you also love dream-built. Perhaps that is why I could never follow the Dominion blindly. By the time the outpost came into view, both were exhausted beyond measure. The final choice when the human guard spotted them, weapons raised, Ethan stepped forward shouting, "Hold your fire! She's with me." The commander, a stern woman named Captain Reyes, looked from Ethan to Serana with suspicion. "That's a Dralith soldier. Explain yourself." Ethan met her gaze without flinching. "She's not our enemy. She's a rebel who was abandoned by her own. She fought to protect me. I owe her my life." Reyes frowned. "You expect me to believe that?" Serana struggled to stand, her voice hoarse but steady. "Believe what you will. I am no loyal servant of the Dominion. Kill me if you must. But know this, your soldier speaks truth. Without him I would already be dead. Without me he would be too." The silence stretched. Then Reyes lowered her weapon. "Very well. She'll be taken as a detainee. But Kale, if you're wrong, it's on you." Ethan nodded, relief washing over him. Epilogue: weeks later, Serana sat within the human medical bay. Her wounds finally healed. Though technically a prisoner, she was treated with more respect than she had ever known among her own people. Ethan visited daily, bringing small comforts, books, food, stories. One evening, she looked at him with a rare softness. "Do you realize what you've done, human? You saved the life of a girl your kind was taught to fear. And in doing so, you gave me something I never thought I'd have again." "What's that?" he asked. "Hope." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then maybe that's worth more than any battle won." And as the war dragged on across the stars, a bond had been forged between human and Dralith, one born not of conquest or vengeance, but of mercy, rebellion, and the stubborn refusal to abandon another soul.